Well. Look what we have here. Look what the flood washed in from the great Alaskan wilderness. Howard Bender back with us today. And yes, we're doing another family draft. We were you last year we did them all summer. This year we had some sites that just didn't want to allow us to do private customizable drafts. Guess what? We found one. Drafters is what we are doing right now. If you're not signed up and you want to draft with us, boom shakalaka, right in front of Howard. The QR code there or the one conveniently placed above my head, you can get signed up, get set up, get rocking with us. Use promo code ALARM. They'll give you a 100% deposit match up to $100, and you can play with us. That's what we're doing today. Expert mocks, or no, real drafts, expert real drafts, best ball drafts with Fantasy Alarm members and pristine characters like the Roto Buzz guy himself. So let me ask you, Howard, before we kick this off, how was the flood? How are you doing?
Doing very well up here. We stayed dry, which was great. Got to shout it out to the city of Juneau for just they acted nice and fast last year, and they put in some barriers, and there were still some areas that definitely got the flooding, but in the block that I'm on, we stayed completely dry. And last year apparently they had like 3 feet of water, so absolutely love that. And then shout it out to my buddy Matt and to my buddy Brady. One's a fireman, one works for the city. They both kept me and my wife nice and informed on everything and with their opinions of how everything was going to go, and they were right, and so I love that.
Excellent. So safe and sound, dude, which is great. You were able to do the show last night. Couldn't do the show today, but I mean, it wasn't worth risking the power going out. But here we are. We're ready to rock and roll. Draft is going to kick off in a minute here. I just want to say what up to the chat first. Look, Ann Dunn hanging out. Justin Hollis. Brian's hanging out. Mile High Luke. Mile High Luke is drafting with us today. I'll go through all the draft participants once we pull the draft board up. But thank you guys for popping in. Really appreciate it. If you're watching over on Twitter, why don't you pop in the YouTube? Then you can comment and hang out just like the team here. So here we go. Draft day is here. Let's pull up this board. Looks like our guy Gringo Loco looking at the first pick here. Icy through a regular. Mile High Luke, a regular. Eric Caldwell, Easy E on the Discord, first time drafting with us. AZG drafted first time with us yesterday. The great Howard Bender is at the 6th spot. Sigma Shy is a guy that is always in here with us. Daz is a new drafter. I am a regular. Pez Boy, also a brand new drafter. Rowdy, a regular, and done. And then our time, a new drafter. So the second half of this draft loaded up with new drafters. Could be some curveballs, Bender.
Definitely some curveballs. And I'm looking at the draft room right now. I'm looking at how everything is ranked over on drafters. So I'm excited to get this thing going and see what the family has in store for us. So I'm loving this. I'm absolutely loving this. It's my first draft on drafters. So let's make it a positive experience.
So I haven't asked you this yet. Before we kick off, I know that you like a number of guys at the first part of the draft. What's the first draft pick that where you're like, I don't want to pick here? Where it's like, I know you said there's a few picks at the beginning where you're like, I don't care if I get Chase or Lamb. I like all these guys. Where do those guys run out for you where you're like, I really don't like this spot?
I mean, I'm not a fan of drafting exactly where I am today, right? I'm pick 6 at that point. Now the question is in the top 5 come off the board, really, where do I want to go? Where do I want to pivot? And how do I want to set up my draft board? Obvious names in there are going to be very, very interesting to see where I'm picking from. Do I want to go with McCaffrey and make that move? Do I want to go with upside for Ashton Genty? It is going to be a very, very interesting moment. I can't wait to see what the board leaves me here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. See, for me, I'm not scared. I'm increasingly becoming less scared of McCaffrey. So I actually don't mind picking up until 7. Where I'm at now, also 8 and 9, don't really love these spots very much unless somebody slides to me. Is this set up as super flex?
I see only one QB is like.
This is not
except for the team, but I mean their rankings are set up in the sense that it looks.
Oh, there is a super flex spot. Sorry, guys. Yeah, this is okay. So hey, guess what, guys? First super flex draft of the year here. A little super flex action.
Oh my goodness!
Just like we planned it. So, here we go. If anybody's thinking it was not super flex, Gringo, that's still a good pick, but I apologize if Gringo did not realize it was super flex.
All right. Well, for my first pick here, I am definitely going to go with a QB because it's left to me here, and that is Jalen Hurts. Listen, what I love about Jalen Hurts this year, obviously, it's the rushing upside. Obviously, the tush push is still in play for him, and I think they're going to utilize it until it gets banned. Not to mention the fact that I do think that there's going to be some struggles in the secondary for Philadelphia, which means that in the second half, maybe they don't just hand the ball off to Barkley. I see some bigger passing numbers here for Jalen Hurts, so I'm rocking with him.
Yeah, I love Jalen Hurts. Like for me, it's a lot closer between those top four guys than people think. You know, a guy like Josh Allen who keeps telling us he's going to run less. He actually did run a little bit less last year, only 104 carries for a guy that usually runs like 120, 130 times. This could be the year that he runs under 100 times. And those touchdowns, 12 rushing touchdowns, carried a lot of weight. They obviously did for Jalen Hurts, but the tush push hasn't gone away. So I'm not really worried about any of those top four guys. If I get the fourth one, I don't care who it is. But I just don't like. I don't usually don't like drafting the first one. I'm also glad somebody took Joe Burrow here, so I could take Gibbs. I would have taken Burrow, but I don't quite consider him in that tier. I don't like taking the first player from the next tier. You know.
Yeah, I mean that's always the interesting spot of like where you want to be as far as not just draft position, but like when you're doing a super flex draft, at what point are you not taking the QB? And if you're not taking the QB, how are you building your team? When it comes back around here in the second round, anybody who didn't take a QB early, now bodes the question, are you going to take a QB here in the second round? It's coming up, it's going to be coming up to you in a little bit. Are you taking a QB here in the second?
Depends who's there, brother. I'll tell you, there's two names that I will take, and if they are not two quarterback names that I will take if they're there. If they're not there, I won't take them. There's also, well, there's one of them. Also, I mean, you know what? I might end up taking a running back here. I think I'm going to do it. Let's go. Let's go big. Let's go big, and we'll figure out
Ooh.
quarterback later. You know what I mean? It's again two things here. There's 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. I only need two, possibly three of them. I can get them along the way. And as a very smart analyst once told me, you don't have to have a quarterback in your super flex spot, especially in best ball. You know what I mean? Like if I just have guys that are going crazy, maybe it's not a quarterback in that spot every week for me. So a lot of outs here, a lot of ways to make it happen. Does feel a little scary.
It should feel a little scary. All right, coming up here, second round, Jalen Hurts in the bank. I was definitely looking at Ashton Genty, but Sigma Chi 10-12 took him off the board. I'm going to go here with an old stalwart running back here, right? I'm going to need a running back at some point. So why not take Derrick Henry? I get it. He's aging. But I mean, really, how many years have we been saying he can't handle that workload? The wheel's going to fall off the wagon at some point. If that some point is today, so be it. But I got to lock in Derrick Henry for my number 2 pick.
Yeah, I mean, as the kids say, this man is just built different.
Yeah.
Like until I see it, the dude doesn't slow down. He runs people over. And you know what I was scared of last year? I was scared because it was his first time with the team. We don't know what's going to happen. And mentally, we're saying to ourselves, I wonder what the split is going to be like at the goal line between him and Lamar Jackson. I'm sure Lamar Jackson will take a couple. That's what we were, even if you were like somebody that was bullish on Henry and said, I'm sure Lamar will take a couple. He literally didn't. He didn't take a single one. They had 18 carries inside the 5-yard line. Derrick Henry got every single one, which is the smart way to do it, right? It's like protect this quarterback at all costs. We have a bulldozer. Why would they do that? So makes a lot of sense. And I don't see why they would do it differently. I mean, again, maybe Lamar Jackson will have a couple, right? A little misdirection. Why not? But like, there's no reason for him not to get every carry from the 1-yard line, right?
I don't see a reason why you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Why you definitely wouldn't.
Right. So I thought you might pull what our guy Eazy Eric Caldwell did and go Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray.
I thought about it.
It was there. Kyler Murray was the other guy that I considered at the pick where I took McCaffrey. I really think that a guy like Murray, say what you will about him, about him being first in the chow line and not being a good leader and playing video games. This guy, when healthy, he's a good fantasy football quarterback. QB 8 all time in fantasy points per game. He's got the weapons in Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison. I like the coaching staff. And this guy, he says he wants to run more this year. As long as you run 80, 85 times, it's really hard not to be a QB1, right? So
Yeah.
statistically speaking, every quarterback over the last decade that's run 85 times and has played at least 16 games has actually been a top 10 quarterback, not even just top 12. So I feel good about Murray. I'm ready to get hurt again. I'm ready to be hurt again.
I feel like it's my pick right now. I tell you, man, there's so many names out there that I'm really digging on, but I'm gonna take a little shot here, right? Because it's not that I've been dogging the guy. I've just been dogging where his ADP is, but I have no
You're
shares
doing it.
of Lad McConkey Tonk Badonka Donk, right? McDonkey, as everybody likes to say. And how do you not? I want to take a shot on him. I want to take a stab at him. Listen, I think Keenan Allen signing only helps Lad McConkey. It hurts the other wide receivers. So if I can get my 1,200 yards out of him with 8 touchdowns, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, people are worried about the offensive line. They're worried about the, you know, the injury that he has now, and now you're finally getting to a level where he's available at a reasonable price. I'm about to do something crazy here, I think.
I like crazy. Oh, I was going to take Jonathan Taylor, but I'm like, I've been building in so many of the same ways. You're going bully RB here, man. You are not messing around.
Robust. And I'll tell you, I'm doing the math here, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks I like. Pez Boy just didn't take a quarterback as well. Shout out to Pez Boy, first time drafting with us. Love that mentality. Hope Pez Boy knows this guy. At this stage, he has to obviously know this is Superflex. So, mathematically speaking, unless the next 5 picks are quarterbacks straight, which they could be, I will get at least somebody I feel okay about, and I'm kind of rooting for it to be a specific guy, but I will play it safe if all these guys come back to me. But I love how it's going here. Love how it's going. Caleb Williams off the board. How are you feeling about Caleb? I know our own John and Pemba is pretty bullish.
I mean, I've been bullish on him just in general, what Ben Johnson's doing. I know that there's a lot of concern as to what's going on. This is going to be a very important weekend here for Caleb Williams, and we're gonna see what his ADP does after this, because Ben Johnson said he's using the starters, whether it's going to be a series or 2 series. I don't know what the exact amount of time is, but they're going up against the Bills, and so you really need to put this team in action and see what we've got. If they're struggling to pick up the offense in practice, what are they going to look like in a game? And I think this week we're going to find out.
Yeah, I just realized just now that that people can see when I put players in the queue. So I'll be very careful about putting my Drake May in my queue. Okay, Dak Prescott my QB1. That could be way worse, right? Yeah, I've just realized that you can see my mouse. Yeah. Here, let's put more of the board up here.
That's the best.
Put more of the board up, less of the queue. And done. What would you say here? Did she snipe me, or did she do me a favor by taking Drake May where she did? Because I was absolutely going to take him.
Listen, I think she sniped you. I mean, we've been talking about Drake May, and it's so funny. I talked to one of our subscribers in Discord, which is, by the way, where you guys can find all of the how to get into these drafts and whatnot. But like I said, it hurts me as a Jets fan to say this, but I'm actually bullish on Stephon Diggs,
right?
Kyle Williams. I'm bullish on Hunter Henry, and I like what Josh McDaniels has been doing with Trevion Henderson, lining him up everywhere, slot, outside, as a running back, as a pass catching running back. I mean, he's really, I think with the exception of putting him in as an inline tight end blocker, I don't think there's a single spot that he hasn't used Trevion Henderson. So right. I'm starting to become a little bit more bullish on that.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Trevion Henderson being the guy, is that if you're rooting for Drake May, you're rooting for Henderson to get as many snaps as possible, because just like Alvin Kamara all those years with Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara never ran for 1,000 yards, but he was always catching a crazy number of passes, and Drew Brees gets all those points. Right. So having the pass game as the extension of the run game is great for the quarterback in terms of fantasy points. Just in practice the other day, that 70-yard play by Trevion Henderson, That's a 70-yard touchdown pass for Drake May. Didn't go 70 yards in the air, but it doesn't matter. You get all those yards and those points. So
yards after the catch. It's your quarterback's best friend when it comes to fantasy for sure.
I love it. Yeah. And a guy like Dak Prescott, let me just say why I'm in on Dak Prescott here, because he loves to let it fly. Like that's what that offense is all about. They've built the team that way. They could have gone out and fixed the offensive line. They could have gone out and got a high-end running back. What did they do instead? They traded for George Pickens. Let's go. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Jake Ferguson. I don't really care. Do you see the depth chart says Jalen Tolbert or Kevontae Turpin for that wide receiver 3 spot?
Yeah.
Like, okay. Like that doesn't matter to me. But like this guy, he's willing to let it fly. And even in the bad games, he'll throw for like 300 and 400 yards. I don't care about the interceptions. So Dak, I feel really comfortable about having him. And this is not a tournament. For anyone just joining us, what we're doing is we're doing a best ball draft over on Drafters, a new platform where you can do customizable stuff. You can set the drafts to a specific time, which I love. This one, we're doing a 12-team super flex. You can even do custom payouts, Howard. Did you see what I did with that? I set it up where 12 teams, top 3 teams get paid. Third place gets $5, gets their money back. Second place doubles their money. They get $10. First place gets all the rest. But you could do it so like the top 6 teams get paid out. You could do it so one team gets paid out. It's kind of cool that way. Folks out there, if you want to get involved, we got a promo code right now, right over Howard's face right there. Drafters. You get signed up, use promo code ALARM, ALARM. They'll match 100% of your deposit up to $100. That is better than their active promo code that they have going right now. So kind of a special one they're doing for us, which we really appreciate. I'm on the clock here. So yeah,
you're on the clock here. Top corner, by the way, folks, is that QR code. If you want to zap that QR code, I think it's is it fantasyalarm.com/draftersbb.
Yes.
Right. Drafters best ball with the promo code ALARM for that deposit match.
Yeah. Love it. So definitely get set up over there. Then you can join these drafts with us. I just kind of had to not necessarily force it here with this pick, with this Ted McMillan pick, but maybe a little. I need wide receivers. And even though this isn't a wide receiver heavy draft so far, it's starting to get a little bit spooky over there. So still plenty of good quarterbacks left. I hope, again, Pez Boy, first time drafting with us in the Discord hanging out. I hope they know this is super flex. I mentioned it in the Discord. So, but you know what?
Him and Mile High, they're like, what's going on? I mean, listen,
Mile High knows. Mile High in the chat, he even said here, he goes, curveball. So he knows what's going on.
I mean, if I'm taking Trevor Lawrence in the 5th round, right? Hell, if I'm taking Jalen Hurts in the 1st round, it better be a super flex. Come on.
Yeah. So there you go.
Thank you for your donation.
You're right. Yeah. Well, $5 draft, all for a good time here. This is for the alarm. We're doing the fantasy badges in the Discord. And folks, if you can't draft live with us, no problem. Because what I'm doing after this is I'm going to put who took George Pickens? Pez Boy. You. Why I oughta. I'll take that would have been a nice little stack. I probably should have taken George Pickens last round. Now that I think about it, I got a little too cute. I thought he could hang around. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a little Google sheet where I'm going to have everybody that wants to do a slow draft with us sign up. We're going to fill as many slow drafts as we can. The winners of those drafts are going to get the crown badges in the Discord. The overall top scorer from the slow drafts is going to get upgraded to either a crown, or if they already have the crown, then the diamond. So like if Jack Straw wins, then we're going to upgrade him. So this is going to be because we didn't have a chance to do a ton of drafts this year, this is going to be the big family draft event. 1 team per person in these slow drafts. Let's see who's best. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Definitely going to be a lot of fun. I'm trying something. Listen, I'm doing something that I never do in drafts here. I mean, again, it's kind of funny because I was like, all right, I'm going to take Ladd McConkey, and then I took Garrett Wilson. Usually in a best ball, contest, I'll go running back early because I can then play receiver roulette and just draft like, a mass bunch of them. But I was like, all right, you know what? Let me test some stuff out here and see what happens. And I went, I did take Derrick Henry just as like an anchor kind of guy. And then I went to the wide receivers thinking, all right, you know what? Either Kenneth Walker or Chuba Hubbard's going to fall to me. And then you remember that you're doing a draft with the family.
Exactly, dude.
And there you go. Kenneth Walker was already gone in round 4. Chuba Hubbard to Ann Dunn, Rowdy 357 there. This is fixing to be a very interesting build here for me. So I'm enjoying this for sure.
Yeah, next week we're going to pivot over with the Wednesday and Thursday show and do some big boy drafts over here because they got some $20 entry drafts with a $500,000 prize. I also like, Howard, you're going to like this about this platform. All the drafts are not necessarily contained, but there's no playoffs. It's regular best ball where it's your best players each week, but there's no playoffs at the end. It's total points scored. So the big draft, the big $500,000 draft, it just puts everybody in one big pool. Let's see who can score the most points this season. So no worrying about week 17 correlations and all this stuff. It's just go out, draft the best ball team and accumulate as many points as you can. And whoever does that best gets the dough. So it's kind of cool.
I like it. I definitely like it. All right. It's coming up on my pick right now. It's going to be very interesting to see. I'm curious to see if AZ leaves that player for me. And they do. And you know what? I think that this is, I don't know if you guys out there have seen like all the video clips of the New Heights podcast, Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce, a little Taylor Swift action. Listen, I think with everything that's going on right now, I think we're looking at a very, very strong resurgent season for one Travis Kelce. I understand that everybody's thought process, the fact that he was distracted last year, even admitted to be distracted last year, that the statistics have declined over the last couple of seasons. Defenses are working on him differently now than they have done it before. But listen, I think that with what we've got going on right now, with injury, possible suspension to Rashee Rice, who's going to be, I guess his hearing is on September 13th now. I think we're going to see a resurgent Travis Kelce. It's not going to be vintage Travis Kelce, but it's going to be enough that he's going to separate himself into, and remain in that top tier of tight ends. I think there are a lot of people who are hating on it because they just love to hate. I think Travis Kelce bounces back this year. I got him here with my pick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm loving that play. Kelce, like, again, 97 catches. And he came out, like you said, he admitted that last year, he had his iron in a lot of fires. He doesn't regret it, but he realizes that he maybe spread himself too thin. So, you know what? I love hearing that he's back focused, up and running. I did a show yesterday, Howard, on FFPC that went up against that live podcast. Not sure we quite pulled the numbers that yeah. I was with Aiden and Terp and Aiden was like, yeah, my girlfriend just said that they just broke 1.5 million live viewers. And I was like, Terp, do you think we have at least 1 million?
We did our best. Well, I mean, come on, you got the album cover, artwork reveal, all sorts of fun stuff there. Come on. Yeah. We love, listen, if you're asking me just quick thought about Taylor Swift, I think it's hysterical. And I love the fact that she's leaning into with her comments of, what every male sports fan wants more of this year. It's more Taylor Swift.
More Taylor Swift, dude. I mean, the thing is, I'm a fan of growing the sport of football and growing fantasy football. That's why, to me, sometimes when I see some of the negativity and the people going to battle with each other and kind of the gatekeeping of that times of certain, like, people gatekeeping best ball and be like, you're not a best ball guy, it's like, or dynasty guy. It's like, we shouldn't be gatekeeping any formats. We should be trying to get as many people playing this game as possible and grow this game and get more people having fun on Sundays with us. So let's all be kind. Let's all be gentle out here, right? So I just took Jordan Love. Part of me wanted to take Tua Tagovailoa, but the comments recently from Jordan Love have me excited to draft him in fantasy football. One of the big things that you have to mention is that he says he wants to run more. right? Hopefully, he's mentioned that to the coaches. Maybe they even call some designed runs for him, which they did very rarely last year. But if he's looking to scramble, those yards add up just a little bit. If you can get to 200, 300, 400, even possibly rushing yards, that adds up. The other thing that I think about Jordan Love is that there's a world where Jordan Love is a very good quarterback and he just has been playing with kind of okay players. And he's elevated these okay players, guys like Romeo Dubs and Dontavian Wicks. We like Jaden Reed a lot. Like, what if they bring in these guys, Matthew Golden and maybe Savion Williams, and now he's got another level of player and he takes a big step. I mean, we watched Josh Allen play poorly. His completion percentage his first 2 years were 52% and then 58%. And then they brought in Stephon Diggs, and the next year his completion percentage was 69%. Oh, from his rookie year to his third year, 17 percentage points. And bringing in a high-end wide receiver was a big part of that. What if they just hit the nail on the head with this Matthew Golden pick? And now all these other ancillary pieces like Reed and these guys can do that and not have to be the focal point. And it kind of we see another level for Jordan Love. So entirely possible here. Even if he's just what he was last year, then I'm getting fine value where he took him.
Well, let me ask you a question here because your first pick was a quarterback pick was Dak Prescott. Mine was Jalen Hurts. My second pick was Trevor Lawrence. Yours was Jordan Love. Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love. Their ADP kind of coming off the board at the same time. Do you have if Trevor Lawrence were there and it was Trevor Lawrence versus Jordan Love, would you have considered Trevor Lawrence as that pick?
I would have taken Trevor Lawrence. I do have Trevor Lawrence ahead of Jordan Love. I liked the spot where you got Trevor Lawrence. I mean, like, this guy, as from a raw talent perspective, just watching this guy play, he plays very clean football, but he also makes some throws that are borderline impossible. I think everybody just thinks of, like, when they think about throwing a football, they think about the way they throw it. You're in the backyard, you're standing there, you make a throw. This guy, he'll be rolling to his left as a right-handed quarterback and turn and twist and throw the ball 40 yards on a dime downfield. The average person doesn't ever do that because there's no reason to. This guy can make special plays. It just hasn't really come together with the coaching and with the talent. There's a real possibility that the guy Liam Cohen that made Baker Mayfield a gazillionaire and a top 10 quarterback in every stat, there's a real world where he walks into this team this year and Trevor Lawrence is the guy that we thought he was. So I am actually very much in on Trevor Lawrence, and I would absolutely have taken Trevor Lawrence with that pick instead of who I took. But I still like Jordan Love.
All right. So you just took Rome Odunze with your pick. I have the question that I have to ask you on this one here, and hopefully we can get the answer from you before your next pick. Rome Odunze with Ryan Grubb at University of Washington was that focal point of their offense, right? We saw DK Metcalf last year for the first 3 weeks. Then he got hurt. Then it was Jackson Smith-Njigba. He was the focal point. What if we're all looking at Rome Odunze thinking how great he was his last year in college as the featured receiver in Ryan Grubb's offense? Are we overrating him a little bit here now that he's not the focal point of this Bears passing attack here? Are we a little concerned that maybe we've all in our minds elevated Rome Odunze a little too high?
That's the thing. That's because he was a big contested catch guy there. That doesn't always translate. And I'll make my pick here quick before I give my spiel on Rome Odunze. But Rome Odunze, definitely a polarizing player. Rome Odunze is a guy that the bet you're making, and it's exactly what you're talking about right now, Bender. Because last year, so on Rome Odunze, I went and did a little film study that's available over at fantasyalarm.com. Basically, what I did is looking up all his stats on every site. And then I watched all 500 plus of his routes, and I clipped some routes and kind of put together what the data says and what the clips say. And they say exactly what you're saying, is that he was a focal point in college. Last year, he was the field stretcher for this team. He was the wide receiver 3. They had him running vertical routes, which he was actually one of the worst graded guys on vertical routes over at sites like Fantasy Points. But when you look at the slants and the other routes, he was doing great, right? The other thing, Caleb Williams was unable to hit him on any of those routes. He was just throwing the ball too hard, throwing the ball over his head. But Rome Odunze did bring that contested catch ability to the NFL. One of only 3 guys over the last 3 seasons that's caught 70% or more of their contested catches on 15 or more targets. The other two are Terry McLaurin and Nico Collins. So the bet you're making with Rome Odunze is that last year with Keenan Allen there, he was the third fiddle field stretcher. This year, you're hoping that he ends up being the number 2 or possibly number 1 target on the team and the focal point of the team. DJ Moore's come out publicly and said, I don't think I'm going to get as many targets this year as I did last year. So I wonder what he thinks about his role this year. Now, the downside is exactly what you say, Howard, that maybe they do just keep him as the field stretcher and, he ends up being that deep guy. But in Ben Johnson's offense, Jameson Williams last year in that role was pretty darn good. So for me, just the possibility of all these moving parts, this first round pick guy, I got to take stabs at some spots. I'm not going to quite plant my flag, though.
That makes sense. It definitely makes sense. It was just one of those things that I was kind of, when I was diving into, certain players and people were asking me questions about, should I invest in this guy? What's your opinion? Because you know me, man. I look at some of these guys who dominate in college, it just doesn't translate.
Right.
And so, there is kind of a little bit of concern.
Especially the contested catch guys, right? Like it's like you're going up, you're now in the permanent all-star game. Right. So even the contested catches you make in camp, those are against guys that were exceptional from college. And those guys might not even make these teams. Right. So you kind of throw some of those things out the window. The thing about it, though, Howard, is in best ball. So I'd be more hesitant to take Rome Odunze in a redraft league. In best ball, even if he is a field stretcher, those guys, 150-yard touchdown using my lineup, So for me, definitely more of a best ball guy because of the downside possibility that you're highlighting there, because it is scary, man, because you look at the roles in this offense and there is once again that like deep threat role that could potentially not translate well to consistency. That's for sure. Even Jameson Williams was kind of inconsistent, right?
You're coming up, man. Who are you going to take in here in round 11?
This is where I think I'm going to have to so here's the thing. At quarterback, I don't have a lot of upside, right? So I do want to have 3 quarterbacks. I think I'm going to take my guy here. I'm going to take my guy, Sammy Darnold. Everyone's out on this guy, man. I do like the way Clint Kubiak operates. I know they want to run a ton. That's why I like Kenneth Walker, but you don't always just get to run a ton. Sometimes they're going to go up against tough teams and they're going to have to throw. I watched this guy throw 35 touchdown passes last year. I watched him get MVP votes. I do like Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp and Elijah Arroyo. I think that it's very possible that Sam Darnold could come out and just get me some weeks. And considering I started my draft running back, took a quarterback, wide receiver, I do need a little bit of extra juice at QB. So 3 QB build here, Sammy D.
I mean, listen, I don't mind that kind of a build. I mean, to attack the running back position. I mean, there are 3 amazing running backs, right? I mean, amazing running backs. 3, right. You've got 1 number 1 or 2 number 1s because McMillan's going to end up with a 25% target share probably in Carolina. And then Cortland Sutton is the X receiver in a Joe Lombardi system. We know what that's all about. Waddle, I'm not a fan of, but to end up with Dak Prescott and Jordan Love, granted, you don't have a rushing quarterback, but still, I think it's a great 1-2 punch considering you didn't take your first QB until round 4, which I think scares a lot of people in super flex drafts.
Right. It's like you got to, again, it's about building a balanced team. And with running back, I took 3 right away, and then I took Jaylen Warren, a guy that offers me some floor. I can actually be done at running back if I want. And here I'm going to take my guy, the scariest tight end 1 pick out there, Dalton Kincaid. But I'll tell you what, let me lay it out here, okay? Dalton Kincaid. Here, even, you know what? I'm going to actually pull it up real quick because I want to make sure I get this exactly right here.
Okay.
Dalton Kincaid, my guy here. Okay. We're looking for guys, right? In my super secret here. I want to make sure we get this right up
here.
All
right, while you go and do that research, I'm going to talk about my pick here right now, round 12. Because, you look at the draft board, you see what everybody's doing. And then, you have a smile when you see certain things like Mile High Luke's only got 1 QB and Brock Purdy. look at the way the QB position is just dwindling over and over and over again. So this is one of those like screw your buddy moments here on Drafters. And I'm going to take myself a little Geno Smith as basically the last remaining decent, moderately decent quarterback out there. And I'm just going to salute Mile High Luke, tell you I love you, buddy, but
a Mile High salute. And he takes Matthew Stafford. You know,
my back. Oh, my back.
Doctor says I need a backiotomy. I mean, the thing is, if he does get healthy, that could prove to be a huge value, but it's definitely a huge risk. So if I was Mile High Luke, I would consider double tapping the QB position here, potentially. Okay. So here we go. Time for the Dalton Kincaid rant. This is why I am in on Dalton Kincaid. I have a super secret spreadsheet that I use to analyze tight ends. In that spreadsheet, a lot of the key stats are color coded. If you are top 12 in a stat, you are considered green on there. You are in the green. Dalton Kincaid last year was in the green on the following stats: pass block percentage, average depth of target, yards after the catch per reception, wide receiver route percentage, meaning the amount of times he lines up a wide receiver, yards per route run, screens, receptions versus man-to-man, forced missed tackles. I mean, so many of these stats, some of those are even counting stats, like missed tackles and screens. And he missed a bunch of games. He was dealing with 2 knee issues. Everyone said he wasn't healthy the entire season. Like, on a per snap basis, this guy was doing all the things that we want to see. He just wasn't getting all those snaps, possibly because he was banged up. You know, it could be because they have Khalil Shakir and they have Dawson Knox, but they're expecting him to take a step to the next level. This is a first-round pick. They didn't go out and draft any new big pass catchers. They brought in guys like Josh Palmer and Elijah Moore. There's a real possibility that in year 3, we see the Dalton Kincaid that we've always wanted to see. That's why I'm drafting him in most of the drafts I do. I believe in the talent.
And, you know, listen, I know that you believe in the talent here. And again, I like a talented player, but how many times have we seen talent get put on the back burner because of scheme? Because of the way everything's going. That's my big concern with Dalton Kincaid. It's one of the reasons why I'm fading him this year, is just in the sense that you have Shakir and Curtis Samuel and Joshua Palmer and Elijah Moore. These guys all do the short, high percentage passing, the intermediate routes, things like that Dalton Kincaid does as well. So does Dawson Knox. So the problem is you've got 7 guys who are all interchangeable. You got one field stretcher in Keon Coleman. And so, yeah, that kind of, and not to mention the fact that you know that once they get into the 5, it's either going to Josh Allen touchdown run or James Cook touchdown run. Like that's where I struggle with the fact of looking at a guy like Dalton Kincaid. I think I would much prefer him on a different team with a different offensive scheme.
Yeah, well, the thing is, they want him to be that.
Oh, Pez boy. Come on, man.
You get snagged up.
That's a garbage pick. That's Bush League. That's Bush League, Pez boy.
So they, and then again, I have to take Jay Conquo now because somebody takes your guy, and then now next thing up, somebody takes my guy. So now I was forced to take my guy ahead of ADP. Pez boy, big shout out. Thank you for forcing our hands there. So the thing with the last thing I'll say on Kincaid is that, like, they want him to be the guy. But let's say he goes out and he has a season like last year where it's like, you know, he was on pace for 98 targets last year. So even if he goes out and doesn't take a step forward, like, how many guys out there are getting 100 looks? Like, they told him to bulk up. He did. The GM congratulated on him on putting on some extra weight so he could potentially play more of those inline snaps and play more snaps in general. Like, this guy's doing everything they asked. Hopefully he's healthy. But even if he does what he does last year and just stays healthy, I'll take, at this stage in the draft, was it round 12? I'll take 100 targets for my tight end. Of course I will. 98 targets. Yeah. Awesome. Set me up. 75. He had 75 targets. He had more targets than Tucker Kraft last year, and he missed 3 games and left a couple others with knee issues.
Well, I can't stand Tucker Kraft anyway. I just had a debate with somebody else the other day about Tucker Kraft, the most boring tight end. Like, if Wonder Bread was a tight end, it would be Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, I don't know how Mpemba was keeping this draft board steady yesterday. I'll have to get him in here on the tech side of things. But it keeps popping my thing up here. You know what? I'll reach out to the drafters people and see if there's a way to do like a separate draft board that can just have the draft board up on the screen, because I do like the draft board. It's nice. It's just this thing keeps popping up here.
You just don't want everybody to be seeing your queue. Come
I
on,
don't.
admit it. We know
I don't.
that.
I'm gonna start putting fake names in my queue. I love Brenton Strange. Yeah, that's my cue, everybody. Take them. Okay, so who would you go with this round? You took.
I took Jalen Wright, and I'll tell you what, this is one of the things that I like about Jalen Wright. And it's, everybody asks me why I'm not bullish on Devon Achane, and I like Devon Achane. The problem is that Devon Achane doesn't get used like by Mike McDaniel in the same way that Christian McCaffrey got used in San Francisco, which is how it's equated for a lot of people. You saw Mike McDaniel use that 1-2 punch with Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane. I think Jalen Wright is actually going to step into that Raheem Mostert role. Devon Achane, he's a good pass catcher. I think he's too dependent on the passing. I think he's too dependent on Tua. If something does happen to Tua, I don't know what's going to happen to Achane's numbers again this year. We've seen in the past that they've suffered. I think Jalen Wright has an explosive approach. I think he's got that burst to get him through the line. And I think that he also can catch passes and he can do the outside zone running work. He's got the speed to be able to do that. So I'm actually a big fan of Jalen Wright, and I love the fact that, he's still flying under the radar in a lot of spots here, right? Round 14 for a guy who could conceivably have like a massive share of the workload in Miami.
Yeah, not to mention his teammate Tyreek Hill is saying that he should be getting the goal line work over Achane, which I don't know why he decided to open his mouth and say that, but hey, you know what? He's out of line, but he's not wrong. Right. I mean, like Achane, you want to keep that guy healthy. You want to use him in explosive spots. Find a way to use Jalen Wright. Find a way to use Ollie Gordon. Like, again, in the modern era, Greg Roman just said it the other day. What are your thoughts on those comments from Greg Roman, Howard, where they basically were talking about Najee Harris, and he goes, just to shut everybody down and kind of quiet the noise. He was like, you know what? Even if Najee's not ready to go, we're going to use multiple backs, because the way of the every down back has gone the way of the dinosaur. So, I mean, does that have you nervous for Omarion Hampton at all, or is it? I mean, every team kind of splits the backfield. Right?
No, yeah, because that's the thing. I always thought that Omarion Hampton was going to share the workload. I never thought that Omarion Hampton was just going to take this role. You signed Najee Harris and guaranteed him like what, $6 million out of that $9.5 million that he's getting, something in that realm. They like to run the football. They want fresh legs. They use tandem running backs. Greg Roman's always done that. How many times has he done the J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards tandem that we've seen? Mm-hmm. Right? This is like the first time that we've seen the Ravens actually use one running back, and even then you see Justice Hill splashed in enough over there. So it doesn't scare me off of Omarion Hampton. If anything, it just kind of firmly shows what all these coaches are doing. They're doing it in Denver, right? J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey, Omarion Hampton, and Najee Harris. So I think it's perfectly fine. He doesn't move the needle for me at all as far as comments being made about that, whether or not to move him up or down my board. I am not moving him up or down my board.
Right, exactly. If anything, the reason to move him, if you were going to, would be the Rashawn Slater injury. Like that might matter, but the comments don't matter. I mean, to be sure, Sean McVay is willing to use one guy the entire game, but like that is so rare in the current NFL that we have to adapt. We have to. 2002 is not happening again. Priest Holmes is not walking through that door, people. It's over.
No Sean Alexanders, no LaDainian Tomlinsons. It just doesn't exist. It really doesn't. Right. It's a dying breed. It really is. All right. So I'm looking at the pick that you just made, and it's coming up to me, right? I appreciate the fact that you took Wan'Dale Robinson off the board. Here's what I like. These are two of my favorite picks, and I'm making them back-to-back right now in a best ball format. All right. Dyami Brown and then Darius Slayton. These guys are both field stretchers. They both have quarterbacks that like throwing the little moon balls down the field, right? De'Ami Brown pairs up nicely with my Trevor Lawrence pick, but I do believe that they will utilize him as a field stretcher. It's great for a best ball tournament, right? Or even a one and done best ball league like we're doing right here, like a standalone. Because De'Ami Brown will have some of those games throughout the season where he will get that deep ball. He will have that touchdown, and it'll help. And Darius Slayton is kind of built in the exact same way, working opposite Malik Neighbors. Both of their ADPs are super low. Both of them are field stretchers. Both of them are better in best ball than they are in a regular standalone season-long league. And I love making these picks. They're two of my favorite late round picks, and I've been doing it a lot throughout all of my best ball contests. So De'Ami Brown, Darius Slayton. I don't need them to pop every week, people. I only need like 3 or 4 times in the year.
Right. And you look at that coaching tree, right? Sean McVay routinely leads the league in 3 wide receiver sets. On one guy that left his organization, Zach Robinson, to the Falcons, they led the league last year in 3 wide receiver sets. We saw what Liam Cohen wants to do with the Buccaneers. Guys were hurt a lot of the year, but he wants to use an inline tight end and 3 wide receiver sets. This team got rid of Evan Ingram because they want to use an inline tight end and 3 wide receiver sets. And De'Ami Brown is, according to everybody, he's the third guy. He's going to be out there for plenty of snaps. So I love that. The Slayton pick as well. I just look at Wan'Dale Robinson. I ask myself, how many times has a guy gone out there and had 140 targets, and then next season he got 80? You know what I mean? It's like this guy. I'm looking for floor because I have high risk, high reward guys in Luther Burden and Roman Dunze. I'm just looking for a guy that can give me some floor, and I think Wan'Dale Robinson is that. But you're right. For individual like massive performances, De'Ami Brown and Darius Slayton could easily go out and have games with 125 yards and 2 touchdowns if they just catch a couple of those deep balls. But yeah, I was looking for floor there. If I was looking for ceiling, I would have gone with De'Ami Brown, Darius Slayton, another guy in that ilk, Alec Pierce. You could look at him.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and put him in my queue. Nobody, if you're watching, ignore that.
Dude, you didn't see a thing there.
You didn't see nothing. So yes, guys like that, it's like all you care about is them cracking your lineup once or twice and doing that, because we're talking about the 17th round of a 12-team draft here. Most of these guys are never going to crack your lineup. Some of the guys that won the big prizes last year, a very popular name was Jermaine Burton, and he was on a lot of those teams, even though he did nothing, just because he was a hype big fantasy pick. I'm going to pick out Pierce here, and then I'm going to talk to you about a big fantasy pick that I made. All right, let me talk to you guys about Woody Marks, right? And I know that our own Jim Bowden loves him because he loves everything USC now, right? Because he's a big USC guy now. But I'll tell you, Woody Marks is very good in college. But I'm not even so much interested in that part of things as I am what's going on in that backfield. We've got Joe Mixon with this mysterious foot issue. And I'll tell you what, we've seen guys, you mentioned Sean Alexander a moment ago, guys like that when you get serious foot issues, sometimes the things go downhill quick. LaDainian Tomlinson with that turf toe issue, I mean, he was just done. You know what I mean? He played a little bit more, but he was done. There's a real world where Joe Mixon, if he doesn't get right, and I'm hearing not great things about Nick Chubb, they're going to start looking down that depth chart. You got this complete unknown guy in Woody Marks. And for me, in this part of the draft, where is there even any uncertainty left? That's one spot where I think, okay, we got 2 guys that are kind of older, banged up, and we got this young guy coming in that they just drafted. I'll do a little Woody Marks. Why not? I'll do a little bit.
I don't know. Listen, I like with the Woody Marks pick. I was actually gonna kind of see if I could grab him a little later on there. I ended up having to go with the old standby Dameon Pierce, who now seems to be sharing some of those first team reps with Nick Chubb over there in Houston. It should be a very interesting situation to see how that finishes up there.
Gross pick incoming in 5, 4, 3, 2. DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, is that a gross pick? I don't necessarily think
in this round. It's not. It's not, because I would be shocked if DeAndre Hopkins played this year without scoring a couple touchdowns. Yeah, we dealt with this yesterday. It's got this thing that pops up on your screen every pick until the end of the draft. So we'll have to talk to drafters about potentially maybe hooking us up with some sort of customization here. I love everything about these drafts, except for this thing that continues to pop up on my screen.
All right, my last pick here in the draft, and I'll tell you what, I like doing in best ball formats. I like doing a 3 QB, 3 tight end build, right? Especially if you don't have to deal with kickers or defenses at all. And I feel comfortable with my running backs and my wide receivers. Would it not be the weirdest thing in the world if Aaron Rodgers connected with the guy whose locker is right next to his, right? Does Pat Freiermuth turn around and say, hey, you know what? Turn me into the next Robert Tunyon. Tell me what you want me to do. Tell me where you need me to be. Tell me what is going to make me a favorite target of yours. And the two of them sit next to each other, as they're getting ready for the game. So maybe, just maybe, Pat Freiermuth is the tight end to own in Pittsburgh. As my third guy, there's some upside mystery box to him. There's some upside mystery box to Kyle Pitts, who I also took. And then I've got, a good old standby there and Travis Kelce with the high floor. So I got to tell you, I like what I did with my team here.
And in best ball, especially, I'm telling you, it's like we don't have to go back very far to find a year where Arthur Smith made the backup tight end, quote unquote, backup in a 2 tight end offense or in a 10 tight end offense more reliable and interesting than the starter, Kyle Pitts and Johnny Smith. The last time it was Kyle Pitts and Johnny Smith had a ton of games where he was just scoring touchdowns, playing just as well. So if he's going to use 2 tight ends all the time, why aren't there going to be games where Johnny Smith is the guy? Why aren't there going to be games where Pat Freiermuth is the guy? And in best ball, that's all you need. You don't have to click a lineup. You don't have to start him at any point. So there you go. I want one last player take from you, Howard, just from anybody who hasn't heard it yet. Our guy, Fox Exposure in the chat, wants to know, how are you feeling about drafting Mason Taylor as your primary tight end? Bender, primary tight end.
I love Mason Taylor, and I'm very bullish on Mason Taylor, and I have been for a while here, because if you look at the target situation in New York for Justin Fields, you've got Garrett Wilson. Josh Reynolds is familiar with, what Tanner Engstrand wants to do because he worked with him when they were both in Detroit together. But the opportunity is here for Mason Taylor to be the number 2 target. Now, you might hate Justin Fields, but you're still going to have to, he's still going to have to throw the football, and Mason Taylor becomes a fantastic option. I do not like taking him as my primary tight end because you're not taking him early. You're bypassing a significant number of just good high floor tight ends, good safe picks. To me, Mason Taylor is that upside pick. And if you look at the yin yang draft strategy that Coop has brought to the Fantasy Alarm family, that's what you want. You want a guy who's going to give you that safe floor. You don't have to invest in a top guy. You don't have to invest in a Travis Kelce. Just take a guy who has been consistent with the point totals. Take a late flyer on Hunter Henry, right? That's actually a nice pick. Take a David Njoku in the middle rounds, and then you take Mason Taylor. And if Mason Taylor pops, well, that's great. If you're in a season-long league, maybe you trade your other tight end. Or, whatever. You just you throw him into some sort of a deal, or maybe he ends up becoming a drop. Who knows? But you cannot sit there and walk into the season with Mason Taylor as your number 1 tight end. He's a great second pick, great high upside, but not somebody I want to rely on right from the word go.
Bingo. And I'll tell you, Howard earlier mentioned Tucker Kraft, said boring, right? Well, here's the thing with Tucker Kraft. There are people that like him. He is safe enough, right? And if you draft Tucker Kraft, his first bye week this year, he has the first bye week of any tight end, week 5. You're going to need to add a second tight end in September if you don't draft one, right? So why not, if you draft Tucker Kraft, draft Mason Taylor on the bench? And then you have your boring starting tight end in Kraft or Hunter Henry, like you said, and then you have a high-risk, high-reward guy on the bench. We've been using it for years to find guys like Mark Andrews and Logan Thomas and Trey McBride and these guys. Like, tight ends come from out of the woodwork. Sometimes it takes a little while for us to trust them as starters. This is the cheat code to get there. And if you want to get the copy of those rankings, I actually do. I go through and I take the standalone tight ends, the top guys that I think have great ceiling and great floor. Those guys are all ranked here. The next tier in my rankings are split into 2. The safe but boring guys, the high risk, high reward guys. And then after that, there's the rest down the bottom for people that do best ball and stuff like this. And all those guys in the chart are color coded by whether I like them at ADP or not. That's available in the Fantasy Alarm draft guide now. If you have not gotten your copy yet, I don't know what you're doing, but you can get 25% off any Fantasy Alarm product right now if you go over. What's the promo code on that one, Bender?
Oh, well, I'll tell you exactly what the promo code is that you really want to do, Coop, and that is
promo code?
The promo code Beat Bender.
Ooh.
So here's the deal, people. This is for new subscribers, new purchasers of the draft guide or the cheat sheet. If you use the promo code Beat Bender, go to fantasyalarm.com/win. Promo code Beat Bender, all one word. All right. You get 25% off anything that you purchase, plus you get an entry into a drawing for the new Beat Howard Bender League that you're going to see over at Fantasy Alarm. And it is going to be, I'm going to draw 11 names at random from new subscribers and new purchasers of the draft guide or the cheat sheet. And you're going to go against me in a league. You can find me at RotoBuzzGuy. I've got the details all there, but basically it's just, if you buy the annual subscription to Fantasy Alarm, boom, 5 entries in the drawing. If you get the monthly subscription, it's 3 entries. If you get the draft guide, it's 2 entries. And if you get the cheat sheet, it's just 1 entry, right? But then I'm going to take all of that and I'm going to do a randomization, and then we're going to compete all season long, you versus me, smack talk, chat. Then if you want to hit me up, personally about all your other leagues, you're going to have all of my contact info, right? Who doesn't want Howard Bender on text? I'm sitting in my other draft right now. Who am I going to take?
Yeah.
FantasyAlarm.com/win. Promo code BeatBender, 25% off.
Get in there now. Get you. I mean, even if you just do the draft guide, it gets you all the products up until drafts. Like, it's a live draft guide, everything that comes out. Then you can decide if you want to go in and get the membership. So get that going. Last thing, make sure you're tuned in tonight, channel 87 Sirius XM. We have something really fun for you. We hit up all the other hosts of the other channels on Sirius XM, like Soul Town and Pitbull's channel and the Hip Hop channel. And we said, hey, who out there plays fantasy football? The response was overwhelming. So we have a loaded draft with guys like J1 from the Pandora Hip Hop channel, Nick Ultra Elliott from Music Row, just tons of awesome guests that are going to draft with us and come on the show and talk with us tonight. So make sure you're tuned in, channel 87, 6 to 8 p.m. on Sirius XM tonight. But yeah, that's it for us. We'll see you guys tonight. Next week, we'll see you back here Wednesday and Thursday for some more drafts, some more chatter. So that's it for us, gang. We'll catch you on the other side.